How's it going, YouTube? It's Elliot here. Welcome back to another Elliot Reads video, guys. I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up for this video. And I read 6 books in the month of May, which are here, as you can see. And I'm going to be going through them and giving my opinions a little bit more about what they were about. And give you my ratings on them as well, guys. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my new intro, guys, for my book videos. Since I'm not going to make another channel for my book videos, like I said in my first book video that I've done, I'm going to have a new intro and outro going forward for the book videos to separate them from my gaming videos. So yeah, I hope you like them, guys, because they're going to be on my book videos going forward. So yeah, let's get into the wrap up and let's do it. Okay guys, the first book I read was The Defense by Steve Kavanagh, who is a return author for me. I enjoyed this book. It was really good. It's about Eddie Flynn, who is a con artist, an ex-con artist, and he gave up that life to become a lawyer. And he had a case when he was a lawyer that went wrong for him. He was trying to get the guy convicted of a horrible crime that he'd done. Fortunately, the guy got found not guilty, and it ate him up that he had lost this case, and he swore he would never set foot back in a courtroom again because of this situation. That's until his daughter gets kidnapped by the Russian mafia. The main guy from the Russian mafia and his assistant approaches Eddie, and they want the boss of the Russian mafia to be found not guilty, so they come to Eddie because they know he's one of the best lawyers in town. And at first he refuses, and then they're like, well, we've got your daughter, so you're gonna have to do it for her. And so he agrees to do it. But while he's getting things sorted and together, he goes behind the Russian mafia's back and asks his friends from the con artist days to try and rescue his daughter while he's trying to work on this case for the Russian mafia guy. As he's starting to go into the case, he starts to unravel secrets about about a certain person who was in the Russian mafia, and this secret could blow the case up and make it go terribly wrong. And yeah, he has to try and stop that from happening, as well as trying to rescue his daughter from the Russian mafia behind their backs without them knowing. But they keep him under surveillance 24/7, so it's really hard for him to be able to do any of that. So that's why he asks upon his friends from the ex-con artist days to help him out. And the story of this is really good. It's very gripping. It does keep you interested all the way through. I was thoroughly interested in this. I love the character of Eddie. He's so funny. He's so amazing. He's like just a really good character, and he keeps you like wanting to read more. And he just gets you wanting to read more to see if he actually saves his daughter and if this case goes well for him and it doesn't go tits up for him. So yeah, I gave this one 4 stars, guys, and I highly recommend reading it for yourself. So yeah, that was my first book of the month for me. Okay guys, the next book I read was 5 Strangers by E.V. Adamson. This is about a journalist who got shunned from a job because she is an excessive liar. And the column that she wrote as a journalist was about her life. And she pretty much made everything up. And the paper that she was writing for got wind of this, and they're like, well, we can't have someone who's writing about the life lying about it because our reputation's on the line. We've got to make sure that it's legit and things, because people are really invested in this and they can relate to a lot of the things that you're saying. So we don't want them to be blindsided and it all be a lie, you know what I'm saying? So they were like, right, you're fired, that's the end of it. So she goes into a downward spiral, but while she's in this downward spiral, her friend Bex is always there through and through. He was there through it all when she lost her job, and she like let her live with her and things until she got back on her feet and things. Yeah. Jen is waiting for Bex on Valentine's Day at Hampstead Heath, and as she's looking around, she sees 4 other people enjoying the Valentine's Day or just enjoying the place where they're at Hampstead Heath. And then something kicks off. A man called Daniel starts fighting with his girlfriend Vicky over something. He murders his girlfriend and then he kills himself. And all these 5 strangers witness it, including Jen herself. So in order for Jen to cope with what she saw on Hampstead Heath, she decides to write an article about the events which unfolded, and she interviews everyone who was there, and she finds out that there was 2 mystery people who were there who haven't been identified yet as well. So she's trying to figure out who these people are who haven't been identified, while also interviewing the people who she knew were there. And as she starts to interview them and look more into the case, she starts to unravel secrets about each one of them, and that they're all kind of connected in some way. She gets like weird messages sent to her from a Twitter account that's saying, like, making a question if her recollection of the day was actually accurate. So then she starts thinking that she's going crazy and that she's not remembering it properly. But every time she asks the people who were there, they always tell her the same thing, and it matches what she saw. Two of the people who were there, two boyfriends which were there, one who are called James and Alex. Alex was recording just them two having a nice Valentine's Day together, and he actually got the whole incident on video. And while Jenna's watching that video, she sees the face of the runner who goes past, and it's her ex-boyfriend. So she is trying to figure out why her ex-boyfriend didn't come forward and what he was doing there, and why he didn't stop when James asked him for help. Because James went over to try and stop Daniel from hurting Vicky any further, but unfortunately she was already bleeding to death when he went over. But yeah, it was a very interesting book. It was gripping. It did keep you interested all the way through to try and figure out who was sending her these creepy messages and how they were all linked to her in some way, how everyone was linked to each other in some way. It was a very interesting twist to find out who was behind it all and made it all snowball and start off. Originally, I gave this book 4 stars, but only because I figured out who it was behind it all before it got revealed. So it was predictable in that way, but it was still a very enjoyable read, and I do highly suggest reading it. It was very, very good and very interesting to follow the story and to see the connection between everyone. So yeah, that was the second book I read in May. The third book I read was The Collective by Alison Galen, and this was about a mother called Camilla who was a grieving mum. She lost her daughter Emily. Her daughter went to a frat party and hooked up with a guy there, and he got her blindsidedly drunk, so blind drunk, and I think gave her something, and then he took her into the woods and essayed her. Yeah, left her there to just die in the cold. So she froze to death, basically, because she was so out of it with these drugs and alcohol that he had given her. But he never got convicted for the murder of the girl, because his family are a very wealthy, well-known family, and they can just pay to be swept under the rug, which it did get done. So he goes on to have a successful life, winning awards and graduating college and university, things like that. Why her daughter can't do any of that because he was the one that took her life. She wants to get revenge on this boy, but obviously she won't because she's a fully grown woman. She goes to the award ceremony, what he's getting an award for, and she has an outburst. But obviously she's not allowed to go anywhere near the family, so she gets arrested. Because it wasn't anything major that she done, she gets let out in 24 hours. And when she's waiting outside to get a taxi to go home with her friend, comes and picks her up, a woman approaches her and gives her a card with a Facebook group on it. So when she gets home, she goes onto that Facebook group, and it's a group full of other grieving mothers who want the same thing that she does. They all want revenge on the person who took away their family member. Mostly their kids, it was their kids that took away. She joins the group and she talks with other mothers, and she's like, yeah, I totally know what you're going through. I feel the same. I really want revenge on this kid as well who took my daughter away from me and things. And then as she gets more into this group, she gets sent a link from the doc for a dark web website. So she figures out how to do all that, and then it leads her to another group called The Collective. And this is again a group of mothers who have had their children taken away from them, and people who have taken them away from them haven't been convicted of their murder. So all these women want revenge on them people. So what The Collective does is basically a hitman service, but full of women. Hit women service. So everybody who's on this website and states that they want revenge and they want the people who took their children to suffer, they start dying one by one. So the people on the website have been right, well, this is what happened to my son, or this is what happened to my daughter, and this is who done it. A couple of days later, that person is found dead and they have committed suicide or whatever. Camilla doesn't think anything of it. She just thinks it's a coincidence. She's just like, oh, well, it's a coincidence. They must have felt guilty after all these years that they had done that to them children, so that's why they've committed suicide. She asks to join the collective, and she asks the main one, who started it, it was 0001, is their username. They don't have like any names for their usernames, it's just numbers. So she goes up to 0001, who was the creator of the collective, and she says that I want to join and I want revenge on this boy. So the creator of the collective gives her assignments to do and carry out, such as getting a hunting knife, buying certain types of clothes, you know, stuff like that, sending things to certain areas of different parts of the world. And she doesn't think anything of it, she just thinks it's a goofy assignment just to save. She's willing to do everything for the collective, so it's like an initiation process. That's what she thinks it is. She thinks it's just an innocent initiation process. Then one day her and another woman from the collective are sent on another assignment, and in this assignment they have to basically kill someone. They basically have to go in the car and push this car in a river, and they get told not to look in the trunk of the car. They just have to drive it to the thing, let the car roll into the river by itself and just walk away. But she can't resist herself, and she looks in the trunk and she finds out it's one of the men who have killed one of the person's children on the website. Then she starts to realise that the collective is actually a lot more sinister than she thought, because they're actually killing these people themselves in the name of justice. So after she does this killing, she's a bit wary of it. But it doesn't make her want to leave the collective yet, because it's all in the name of justice, right? That's what she's thinking. It's all in the name of justice. This guy deserves it for what he done to this child, and now all the children are safe, so it's not going to happen anymore to other children in the future. It isn't until she witnesses the death of an innocent man through the collective that it changes her mind about the collective. And then she wants out, because this, not only are they killing people who in their minds deserve it, but they're also killing innocent people who find out about the collective and what they do. Yeah, she wants out, but she's not going to get out the collective unless she's dead. Yeah, she tries to figure out who 001 is, while also trying to find a way to get out of the collective. But doesn't really end well for her. That's all I can say. It doesn't end well for her. But yeah, really gripping read, really interesting. I really liked the concept of this book, and it really pulled it off. The story was gripping. I really liked the character of Camille. Yeah, really, really cool. I really liked the concept of this book, and it was very, very interesting, and that's why I gave it 4 stars, guys. That was the 3rd read that I had for the month of May. Okay, guys, the 4th book that I read for the month of May was The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney, another returning author, which I gave a 5-star to last time as well. I found that book very, very good. Okay, so this book follows a couple called Emma and Simon. Emma and Simon are house hunting due to, in their old house, there was a break-in, and the guys who broke into the house threatened Emma because Simon was out and she was just a vulnerable woman on her own. So they threatened her, and obviously it gave her PTSD. And so she wants to move away from the area and go into a secure housing situation where she doesn't have to be afraid to be on her own anymore. They get shown around this minimalistic architectural building, like an apartment building, but it comes with a very bizarre set of rules. Like, they can't have their own furniture, they can't change anything in the building, they have to keep it spick and span, they have to have tours for architectural students every couple of months, they have to agree to that. They can't have kids, they can't have pets, and yeah, it's very bizarre, but it does have the tightest security, but the whole house is run on technology. You can only get into the building with these bangles that you have to wear, so it's very tight, chip-chipped on security. So Emma's like, yes, this is the house that we need, I'll be safe here, it's secure, it's gorgeous, it's in a nice area. Simon's a bit hesitant at first, but it's in their budget that they can afford it. And he can see how much Emma really loves his house, so he's like, fine, okay, we'll give it a go. The only thing that's putting him off is all the rules, because he's like, I'm not going to have someone tell me what to do. If I want to live in a house, I want it to be my house. I don't want people to tell me what to do. Like I said, he sees how much Emma loves the house, and he's like, fine, okay, I suppose I can get used to it. So they move in, And then we get a bit more background about Emma as the story goes on. So Emma used to see a therapist, and she used to tell the therapist everything that was going on in her life. A few months after she moves into the apartment building, the police turn up and tell Emma that they have found a suspect who was a part of the burglary at her house. And then the police bring up that they found a video of Emma giving oral sex to a man, and it's being filmed. And the police ask her if this is the robber who done it, because they found Emma's phone with the robber. So she says, yes, that was him, he made me do it, and if I told anyone, he was going to send the video to my family and things, and my co-workers and my boss, so I didn't want that happening, so I kept quiet about it. So the police says that she needs to come down to the station, write a statement, and give evidence in court about the recollection of what happened on that night, including the sexual assault. She does that, she goes to court, she gives her thing. He still doesn't get convicted of rape and sexual assault and robbery or anything like that. There's not enough evidence, because you can't see his face on the video, so that isn't enough evidence to tie him to the burglary or anything like that, because he left no fingerprints or anything as well at the house, so nothing ties him to the actual burglary and the assault. So he gets away with it. She starts to get threatened and starts to feel unsafe, and because of everything that happened and the way she's starting to feel, Simon gets a bit agitated with her, and he becomes less and less supportive of her. So that makes her feel not worthy, makes her feel like dirty and horrible. Then she starts to fall out of love with Simon, so she says, right, okay, well, I'm not in love with you anymore, Simon, this isn't working, you're gonna have to move out. Simon doesn't take it well, he keeps trying to weasel his way back in, but he does leave, and Emma starts to have a relationship with the guy who made the house, the architect. And then, a few months after this relationship starts, Emma becomes too clingy and obsessive over Eddie, who is the architect who built the house. So he breaks it off because he doesn't want any strings attached to a relationship. He just wants a relationship where the soppy stuff, he doesn't want like Valentine's Day cards, Valentine's Day dinners, things like that. He doesn't want like a proper relationship, but he wants like a no strings attached relationship sort of thing. But when Emma takes it too far and makes it become more than that, then he's like, right, well that's it. It's not good anymore, like that's it, we're done. And she can't handle that. And then a few weeks later, after that incident happens, Emma's found dead at the bottom of the stairs in the apartment. The police think she committed suicide over the breaking up of her and Eddie. But Simon thinks Eddie is the one who killed Emma by just pushing her down the stairs because he just wanted to get rid of her, and that was it. And then cut to a few years later, I think it's 3 years later, a woman called Jane moves in. And obviously they tell her all the rules, and she's like, it's a bit weird, but okay, I can deal with that. So she moves in. Not long after she moves into this place, she also starts a relationship with Edward and with Eddie. And as the relationship starts to go on, she tries to unravel what happened to Emma. And all her suspicions point to it being Eddie who actually killed Emma, and that everyone who was saying it was correct, and that he was a controlling, obsessive boyfriend, like it was the other way around. Like he was the obsessive and controlling one who, if he couldn't have Emma, then that was it. His continuous relationship with Eddie, she starts to unravel quite a lot of similarities with her relationship with Eddie and Emma's relationship with Eddie. It's pretty much history repeating itself. And then things start to go odd in the house. Like the house starts to like freak out because, like I said, it's all run by a technological like system, like sort of thing. I think it's called Housekeeper. It's like the software's called Housekeeper, so it's run basically on Housekeeper all the way through that system. So that starts bugging out and going weird. So that starts happening in the house, and then she goes and speaks to the therapist that Emma had. She also goes and speaks to ex-boyfriend Simon. They all think it's Eddie as well. So all the signs are pointing to Eddie, that it was him that killed Emma and that she's going to go in the same way because, like I said, history's repeating themselves, the same relationship, the same rules for the relationship and things. Very, very good read. My god, it was such a good read. I couldn't put this book down. I think I finished it in like a day. Like, I couldn't put this book down. I just wanted to read it and find who was actually behind Emma's death. If it was Eddie or if it was someone else, I wanted to find out who it was, so I couldn't put this book down. I was gripped all the way through. The twist is crazy of who did kill Emma, and yeah, so good. They actually made a series of this on the TV in the UK here on BBC. And I watched that after I read the book because I was like, oh my god, I want to see if the adaptation of this from the book was really, like, to the TV shows any good. And it was really good as well. I enjoyed both of them. I gave this one a 5-star, guys. So JP Delaney had another 5-star read for me, and I really, really enjoyed this book. So good. Could not put it down. Fantastic twist. Highly recommend this book, guys. Highly recommend it. So yeah, that was my 4th read for this month for me. Okay guys, the next book I read was The Roommate by Rosie Dannin. Okay, so this is about a girl called Clara who moves over to LA to be with a guy who she's fancied since high school. They've been friends all their lives, since they were young kids, and she's had a crush on him all these years. So she drops everything back at home, and comes to LA to live with him. But when she gets to the apartment, he is going on tour with his band. So he's like, sorry, but I'm going on tour for 3 months. I'm not going to be here. You're sharing a room with a guy that I found on Craigslist. Surprise, mate. So yeah, he's found a guy on Craigslist called Josh, and he has agreed to let Josh stay in the house with Clara for the 3 months that he's away on tour. So that sucks for her. And Josh is an adult entertainer, so he's in the porn industry. But yeah, one night when Josh is at work, Clara does a silly idea of looking him up on the internet, and she obviously finds one of his porn videos on the internet and watches. Gets a bit hot under the collar and starts to get feelings for Josh because he's good in bed, he's got the goods that she likes, and he walks in and I'm watching it, and obviously she's a bit frisky from watching it, and it kind of turns him on too. So yeah, it's kind of like a slow burn romance. Bizarrely, it's a slow burn romance. So he asks Clara if she's ever got to, God, how do I say this, guys? He asks Clara if she has ever if a male has ever given her an orgasm. And she was like, well, not that they haven't tried and things like that. He's like, well, no, that's not good enough. They should be helping you get off before they get off, sort of thing. He asks her if he can use his professionalism in the porn industry to give her her first orgasm by a guy that she deserves. And she agrees for some reason. From this guy she's just met, who's from Craigslist, who could be a murderer or weirdo or anything. She's like, yeah, sure, give me an orgasm, bro. Whatever. It's like, what the fuck? But yeah, that happens, and then that makes them start to like each other. But they realise they can't have a relationship because, obviously, her parents are, high-class people in politics, and he's a porn star. And they wouldn't approve of that. So she's like, no, I can't be with you because of my parents. They won't approve. And quite frankly, I don't think I could handle you, to be fair. Once that happens, it becomes very awkward between them. And Josh is on the end of his contract with a company who he's working for, and they want him to go into more hardcore stuff, but he says he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to have restrictions on his contract. The guy who runs Black Hat Productions, which is the company who he's working under, they say that if he doesn't agree to them, they could ruin his career in porn, basically. So he goes back home a bit deflated, and he tells Clara what happened, and then Clara decides to put a trust fund into a website called Shameless, which has Josh and his co-star Naomi working alongside Clara. She's just she's just the investment breaker in this Shameless company. And what it is a website which gives tutorials and things to couples on how to pleasure each other properly and give each other orgasms, basically. It's like a a porn website for couples to improve their sex lives. Black Hat, who Josh is under contract with, get wind of this and try to destroy everything. They try to destroy the Shameless website, they try to destroy the reputations of everyone involved. It makes Clara realise that she shouldn't judge things too quickly, and that she shouldn't be afraid to be the face of the product that she helped create and invested in. It's like basically them working on Shameless and then things going wrong and then them having spicy moments together and realising that they like each other. It was a bizarre read, guys. It was very, very spicy. There's a lot of sex scenes in this book, like Jesus H. Christ. Most of the chapters were sex scenes, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was alright. Like, it was okay. It was not the greatest book. It's not a unique story, you know what I'm saying? Like, I gave it 3 stars. It's not a unique story. I didn't really connect with Clara at all. I didn't really care about Clara. Josh was a cool character. And then she pines over Everett for most of the book because she wants to be with Everett. But Josh is like, hello, I'm here. I like you, blah, 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 blah. And she's still pining over Everett. And he's not even in the bloody book half the time. He's like in the book at the beginning and like near the end, and that's it. It's like she's pining over this guy who's not even in the book. Hey, bro, stop. It's like, And it was just too much sex scenes. Like, bro, give it a break. They're like freaking rabbits going on it like all the time in the book, bro. Like, yeah, I just didn't connect with it, guys. It wasn't a unique story. I couldn't connect with Clara, the main character. She was just whinging over this guy who wasn't even there. You know? It's a bit bleh. But yeah, 3-star read. It was alright. Pick it up if you fancy it, if you like the sound of it. It's up to you. Personally, I didn't like it that much, and it was a 3-star read. So yeah, that was the 5th book I read for the month of May. Okay, guys, the final book I read was What Happens in Dubai by Sophie Gravia. This is about Zara, who got her heart broken by a guy who she worked with. It sent her into a pretty much downward spiral, and to cope with that, she pretty much sleeps with everyone and anyone. She's on Tinder, so she gets hookups from Tinder. Yeah, she has some issues with it. She has some disaster dates and some disaster things that happen. And this company that she works for is an aesthetics company, so they do like Botoxes and things and lifts on lip fillers and things like that. She works with her 2 best friends. The boss is Raj and the social media person is Ashley, and they all work together. She is one of the people who does the aesthetics and does all the Botox and things. She's one of the clinicians that does that. And she comes to find out that the business is doing very bad because another Botox place has opened across the road from theirs, and they're a lot more hip and do like trends, like do trend aesthetics work, which is very popular, whereas Individualized, where she works, just use the same treatments over and over again, so it's getting pretty boring, so people are going for the trendy treatments on the other side of the tracks. So yeah, the guy who helps these places out suggests that they go to Dubai on a business trip to Dubai to promote the business and do a photo shoot and get loads of like social media attention over there to try and boost business. Zara has some ideas of how they can boost business by doing like a balancing technique or something, like where they'll have the client come in and they'll tell them individually what they need doing, so each treatment is individual to that individual person. So they'll say, right, well, you've got good bone structure and your eyes are popping, but you could do with like a bit of filler in your cheeks or a little bit of lifting on your eyebrows or something like that, you know? So they'll individualise it to that. She tells Raj this idea that she has, but he keeps shooting it down, saying that it'll not work, it'll not take off. They should just go to Dubai and try and get this promotional stuff done to help business. So that's what they do. They all go to Dubai, they have a photo shoot for individualise, and they have help with promoting their business. After they've had their business trip in Dubai, when it comes to an end, they all leave, and when they're on the plane, Zara actually meets a guy called Cameron on the plane, and they hit it off and they get on really well. And she actually starts falling for this guy. They swap numbers and they're talking non-stop 24/7 with each other. And when she gets home, she's like pining off this guy and things. Their relationship starts to build and they start to become girlfriend and boyfriend. And then there's an opportunity for Zara to go back out to Dubai and stay there for a few months and be the ambassador of the company called Juju, which supplies all their aesthetic stuff, and she accepts it. Cameron lives in Dubai, so she thinks, great, that's awesome. Me and him are really hitting it off. We're getting more serious now, so yeah, let's do it. So she agrees to go to Dubai again on a longer contract to help the business get promoted and work with Juju to get the business booming again. When she goes into work the next day, she's doing one of our clients like work as she normally does, and they're just chatting, and she's telling like the woman about how happy she is not just going to Dubai with her new boyfriend as well, and as well as trying to as well as for the business to get them booming again. The person who she's working on, Laura, she tells Zara of a guy that she's been dating and that he's an army person, that he's currently in Baghdad and things like that, and that he's a really sweet guy, and that he's called Cameron. So Zara's like, oh, my guy's called Cameron. That's a bit odd. So she asks to see a picture of this guy. Turns out it is her Cameron, and he's seen both her and Laura at the same time. So she finishes the treatment. She doesn't say anything to Laura because she doesn't want to lose another client for individualize, and because it's already doing badly anyway. So she doesn't want another client pulling out. So she doesn't say anything. She goes home and confronts Cameron. He gives like shitty excuses and shitty apologies, and she's just like, no, I can't. No, I've had my heart broken already so far, and I don't want it to happen again. Get out. I don't want to see you ever again. She kicks him out, and obviously she doesn't want to go to Dubai anymore, so Raj takes over. And he goes, right, fine, I'll do it. I'll go over and I'll work with Juju and try and get the business booming again with them. And so he goes and he leaves Zara in charge of the clinic. The guy who works with the clinics, he's called Andy. He finds Zara's journal, which has written all the ideas in. He thinks the ideas are really good. He says that they should implement them while Raj is away and test them out and see if anything happens and anything becomes of it. So they start doing that. They give Individualize a whole new look over, like a whole do-over on the clinic. Like they change all the things around. They give it a new paint job. They bring in furniture, things like that. They start her balancing technique treatment. And it hits off and it becomes really, really popular. And all her ideas skyrocket the business into doing really well again. And she's absolutely over the moon about it. As the story's going on, Andy and Zara's relationship start to blossom. Like in the background as all this is going on, like all the stuff for the clinic is going on, their feelings for each other start to blossom. But yeah, once all the stress is over in the clinic, Raj doesn't want to come back because he's enjoying himself too much in Dubai. He gives the clinic to Zara because she's made it take off, she's made it do good again, and he's like, you deserve it, you've been here for so many years, you've made business boom again, and I couldn't leave it to a better person. He's like, I'm enjoying it here and working with Juju, and they've actually gave us a job here to work with them, so yeah, I'm really happy here, so take the clinic, do whatever you want with it. And yeah, it was really interesting, it was a good story. Very, very nice. It was a good story and quite enjoyed it. Zara was a cool character. Ashley was a cool character. I like all the characters and they're really awesome. They're really easy to connect with. I did give it 4 stars, but only because the first 150 pages were in Dubai. Then the rest weren't in Dubai. And it's called What Happens in Dubai. Like, there was only 150 pages in Dubai. They were only in Dubai for like 3 days or something. And that was the first 150 pages, so yeah, I don't get it. I mean, some things happened in Dubai that needed to be shush. Between Ashley and a footballer, she gave a BG to a footballer when she was in a relationship with another guy. So yeah, I guess that's the sort of thing that what happens in Dubai sort of thing. But a lot of the book wasn't set in Dubai, so I don't know. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars. So yeah, that was my 6 reads for the month of May, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little wrap up and hearing more about what the books were about and my ratings on them. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully I didn't waffle on too much and you understood what the books were about. If you read any of them, please let me know in the comments, and if you've read any of them yourself before, then do let me know in the comments. And I'm going to wrap this up now because it's been a very long video. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to smash the button down below. Subscribe to the channel. So I'll catch you guys in the video. Peace out, guys. See you tonight. Where from the world you are.